Welcome back to Andy and Anna Talks, where we delve into the pivotal issues shaping our world today. Today, we're exploring modern warfare and the integration of robots on the battlefield. We've pulled together quite a stack of articles and research for this deep dive, really trying to get our heads around military
That's
robotics.
a huge topic right now.
It really is. And the landscape of conflict, it feels like it's changing so fast. These sophisticated robot systems, they're becoming more and more, well, integral to combat operations.
Absolutely. Core components, not just add-ons anymore.
So our mission really is to take all this material we've gathered and try to help you, the listener, cut through some of the noise, understand the key advancements, the real-world uses, what these things can actually do.
And maybe most importantly, the critical questions that come along with them.
Exactly. What's essential for you to know about all this?
That's right. And I think what's really remarkable looking at the sources is just how quickly these concepts are moving from, well, sci-fi ideas to actual fundamental tools.
Right, things you'd read about.
Exactly. And now they're shaping conflicts on the ground, in the air, at sea. The research makes it very clear this transformation, it's happening right now.
Okay, so let's unpack that. What does this really mean for the battlefield today?
The sources definitely paint this picture of a significant rise, a real expansion in robotic warfare.
Hmm.
They show these systems aren't just like niche tools anymore. They're being woven into the very fabric of modern combat.
Precisely. And the deployment, it spans a huge range. We're talking everything from unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs doing persistent surveillance, precision strikes.
The drones we hear so much about?
Yeah, those, all the way down to autonomous ground robots tackling things like logistics support or really dangerous reconnaissance missions.
And the core idea driving this, based on the analysis, seems to be kind of twofold. One is boosting operational efficiency,
Getting things done faster, better.
but maybe even more critically, reducing the risk to human soldiers, right?
Mm.
Putting a robot in harm's way instead of a person whenever you can. It's a very compelling stated benefit, absolutely.
Mm.
And it's clearly driving a lot of the adoption and the innovation we're seeing.
And you see this playing out in very real, sometimes kind of surprising ways. Which I think brings us to looking at specific examples and how military strategies are actually shifting right now.
Yeah, the real-world application is key.
And one of the most, well, powerful illustrations of this whole trend seems to be coming out of the conflict in Ukraine.
Hmm. What the reporting from Ukraine really highlights is the sheer effectiveness of various drone types. And interestingly, not always the most complex, high-tech ones,
Right.
but they're being used so extensively for both surveillance and, crucially, for attack roles. They're really demonstrating how even lower-cost, widely available tech can fundamentally challenge, traditional military advantages.
Advantages held by bigger, maybe better equipped forces.
Exactly. It levels the playing field in some ways.
And the scale they're talking about is just wild.
Yeah.
The reporting mentions Ukraine's goal, their stated goal is to produce 4.5 million military drones in 2025.
4.5 million.
I mean, that number, it's not just a statistic, is it? It really underscores this profound strategic commitment to robotic systems. They see them as a core part of their defense.
It absolutely signals a pivot, a move towards asymmetric capabilities, leveraging mass production, accessibility. It's fascinating.
And it's not just, Ukraine adapting. Established military powers are also having to seriously rethink their own approaches because of this.
That's a really important point. The dynamic is shifting everywhere.
Yeah, the sources also touch on how even the United States Army is reevaluating some of its own major programs, like the Robotic Combat Vehicle Initiative, the RCV.
Right, and this is a really interesting example of the tech race dynamics. The concern that's prompting this review in the U.S., according to the research, was that these potentially very expensive, very capable autonomous ground vehicles.
The cutting edge.
Exactly. They might actually be surprisingly vulnerable to those same types of low-cost drone attacks we were just talking about from the Ukraine context.
So you spend millions on this advanced ground robot, and it could potentially get taken out by something costing, what, a few $1,000s?
That's the fear. And the sources frame this whole reevaluation as reflecting a broader strategic shift, an acknowledgement that you need robotic solutions that aren't just advanced, but also, crucially, survivable, adaptable.
Well, maybe more cost effective.
Potentially, yes.
Yes.
Especially in this rapidly evolving threat landscape, it really forces a rethink of what kind of robots you actually need on the modern battlefield.
That's such a critical insight. The right kind of robot. Which I guess brings us naturally to the technology itself. What's the muscle behind these systems? What are the underlying capabilities making all this possible?
Well, fundamentally, it comes down to advances in AI, artificial intelligence, and robotics. Those are the
Yeah.
key drivers here.
Okay.
They're allowing for the creation of systems that are increasingly autonomous, capable of performing really complex tasks on the battlefield with minimal direct human control sometimes.
Which translates to faster reaction times. Is that the
Yeah.
idea?
That's a big part of it, yes. The analysis suggests this enables, enhanced decision-making speed, better responsiveness during combat because the systems can process information and react potentially faster than a human operator might in a really high-stress situation.
Okay. And to make this more concrete, the sources mention a specific example, the Viper robot, developed by Elbit Systems.
Ah, yes, the Viper. What's particularly interesting about it, as the material describes, is its design. It's specifically tailored for the unique challenges of urban warfare.
So, tight spaces, buildings.
Exactly. It's compact, it's versatile, and it's built with features like the ability to climb stairs, navigate through rubble, get into narrow tunnels, things that are incredibly difficult and dangerous for humans.
Making it ideal for things like clearing buildings ahead of troops or searching confined spaces where sending a soldier in first would be incredibly risky.
Precisely. Its real value lies in providing that reconnaissance, that threat detection, in those really difficult, cluttered environments. It gives human forces much better situational awareness before they commit people.
It's a very clear example of technology addressing a specific known danger on the battlefield.
A specific capability enhancement, yes.
Okay, so we're seeing the rise, the real-world use cases like Ukraine and the Viper and the tech enabling it all. But deploying robots in warfare like this, it opens up a whole different can of worms, doesn't it? Complex questions, challenges.
Oh, absolutely. A huge part of the discussion in the sources revolves around the really significant ethical and legal questions that inevitably arise as we integrate these, especially increasingly autonomous robots into conflict.
Like the big one. Who's accountable? If an autonomous robot makes a mistake, who takes responsibility?
That is a central point the research hammers home. Accountability for actions taken by autonomous systems is paramount. But there are also really deep questions about the decision-making processes themselves.
How they think.
Kinda, how are they programmed? What ethical guidelines are built in? What biases, maybe even unintentional ones, might exist? And of course, the potential for unintended consequences. These things have to be rigorously addressed.
It's not just a technical problem, it's deeply philosophical too.
Very much so.
And it's not just the big military powers grappling with this, right? The sources also point to a major strategic challenge around just how accessible some of this technology is becoming.
Yes, this raises the critical issue of proliferation. The concern, and it's a serious one, is that non-state actors, terrorist groups, insurgents, militias could potentially acquire and exploit these robotic technologies.
Even the less sophisticated ones, as Ukraine shows, can be effective.
Exactly. That capability, whether it's advanced AI or just lots of relatively simple drones, in the hands of non-state groups, poses really significant new challenges for global security.
Which really underscores the need for, what, international rules.
Robust regulatory frameworks, absolutely. That's what the sources emphasize. Managing this proliferation risk requires coordinated international efforts, developing guidelines, maybe even limitations, on the development and use of certain types of military robotics.
It's a global problem, needs a global approach.
It really transcends national borders, yeah.
Yeah. So, looking ahead then, based on all this material, the trajectory seems pretty clear. The role of robots in warfare, it's just going to expand further.
All the signs point in that direction, yes. I mean, look at the market projections alone. They tell a powerful story.
No, the numbers.
The military robotics market is projected to hit something like $24.2 billion by 2025. And that covers everything: land, sea, air robots. That level of investment, it's a huge indicator of future integration.
Billions pouring in. And as these systems keep evolving, driven by AI, other tech breakthroughs, they're going to offer capabilities we probably can't even fully imagine yet.
Constantly forcing militaries to adapt, reshape their strategies, react to the new possibilities.
And this feels like the crucial but. The research keeps coming back to the need for balance, doesn't it?
It does. It's a recurring theme. As the technology accelerates, there's this absolutely non-negotiable requirement, according to the analysis, to balance these advancements with those critical ethical considerations we talked about.
Making sure deployment aligns
With international laws, with humanitarian principles. That's not just some technical footnote.
Yeah.
The sources suggest it's absolutely fundamental to the future of conflict itself. We can't let the tech outrun the ethics.
So if we try to wrap this up, looking back at everything we've explored from this collection of sources,
Hmm.
the main takeaway for you, the listener, seems to be this. Robots in warfare. It's not some future sci-fi thing anymore.
Not at all.
It's a present reality. And it's driving a really profound shift in how military operations are conducted. It offers these incredible potential opportunities, efficiency, safety for soldiers,
Huge potential upsides.
but it also comes packaged with these significant, really complex challenges, ethical, legal, strategic, that honestly, we're only just beginning to fully get our arms around.
Which is why staying informed, staying engaged in these discussions is probably more important than ever. These aren't just abstract technical details you're hearing about.
No, they have real-world consequences.
Exactly. Direct implications for global security, for international relations, and, for the very nature of human conflict going forward.
It really does make you pause, doesn't it? It makes you consider just how rapidly that line is blurring. The line between human decision makers calling the shots and autonomous action happening on the battlefield.
It's blurring fast.
And what does that accelerating shift truly mean for the future of conflict and maybe ultimately for global security? It's a question we're all going to have to grapple with, I think.